This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and we recently reviewed the MSI Leopard Pro. So here's the competitor from Asus. This is the Asus ROG GL753VE. We've already done the 553, which is the 15-inch version. This is the 17.3-inch version. So what's special about this? It's your entry to mid-level gaming laptop with a 17-inch display, as I said, and it's relatively slim and light for that category. This is not one of those huge desktop replacements. I'm holding it with one arm. Sure, I go to the gym, but still, it's not bad. 6.6 pounds, which is 3 kilograms, about an inch thick or 29 millimeters or so. NVIDIA GTX 1050 Ti in ours. It starts with the 1050 model, that's 1100. Ours is 1300. That gets you an SSD inside a boot SSD in addition to the 1 terabyte hard drive that is, of course, in the base model as well. Intel 7th generation Kaby Lake quad-core CPU inside Core i7 and a lot more. We're going to look at it now. So the ROG is finished with a black aluminum lid. It looks okay, it looks decent. It looks not unlike many other gaming laptops in that respect. Not too bad looking. You're going to get these orange accents that they've been doing with the ROG Strix line for a while. I like orange, but I know some people prefer a low-key looking laptop, so you'd have to get a laptop skin that covered most of the lid here to get rid of that. Logo here loves to pick up extraneous hairs and lint that you're going to be pulling off. But other than that, it picks up fingerprints, but it cleans up pretty easily, so that's a nice thing too. Relatively slim, certainly for a 17-inch gaming laptop, and that's the new trend now, to make ones that are not giant desktop replacements. And given the fact that NVIDIA's lower-end gaming GPUs are still very capable, it's now possible to do that, so that's pretty nice. Ports on this are everything you would hope for in a well-equipped gaming laptop. You've got built-in Ethernet, you've got many USB ports, you have one USB-C port, you have a display port, you have your HDMI, you've got your headphone jack, of course. And everything else on the laptop is genuine plastic. Now, we've seen the same design not only on the 553, which is the 15-inch, but even the higher-end ROG GL502 and 702. Oddly, with Asus, when the numbers go down, sometimes it's the higher-end line. So the 502 line is above the 753 line, for example. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of gaming laptops have plastic bottoms, and the nice part is it doesn't get as hot to the touch metal when you're gaming. You got these bright orange feet here. They are amazingly bright. At first I thought there must be a backlight doing that, but obviously it's turned off, not so much. And inside, and this is one thing I really just haven't liked what they've done cosmetically with the Strix line lately. So this is plastic here. This isn't metal. Okay, you know, I can live with that, but this faux brushed metal finish here is just so unconvincing looking and shows a lot of fingerprints as well. That this just looks a little tacky to me. I don't know, but it's firm. It doesn't flex. So build quality on this is rugged, utilitarian sort of thing. It's good enough, and you get just a little bit of accents here. No more WASD highlight keys in orange, so for those of you who thought that that was an embarrassing element to take to work, well, that's taken care of. So inside we have an RGB zone backlit keyboard here. As you can see, I've got a couple of different colors going on, and you can use the ROG Gaming Center here to set up your colors, to set some fan profiles. It's the same stuff you'll see on higher-end Asus gaming laptops. So it's pretty nice stuff there if you want to have granular control over the machine. Obviously, control your zone backlighting here. You can have it low-key. You can set it to all be white if you want when you go to work or whatever you like. The keyboard itself is pretty nice. I like the keys, really nice damping, nice and crisp too. No complaints there. Good key travel. It's a pleasant enough keyboard to type on for those of you who actually need to do content creation, and it's pretty responsive in terms of rollover if you're actually using it for gaming. The trackpad is so-so. It's not particularly huge, and that's okay by me. I don't always see a value in making a trackpad particularly big. The clickers are not too stiff. See improvements there, and tracking behavior is good on it. It's not like an, oh my goodness, the best trackpad I've ever seen. Not an Alienware level trackpad, but it's decent enough. If you're left-handed, you're going to love this in the wintertime because the hot air exhausts on the left side. I am left-handed and I noticed it, and it is Dallas, Texas, and it's definitely not the wintertime, so made my hand kind of hot. Also, this has a large single fan solution instead of the usual dual fans, and I noticed that even sitting at idle, in fact, you'll probably hear it in the background occasionally during this video, the fan's pretty audible. It doesn't make any annoying noises. It's not high-pitched whining, but it's obviously running and you can really hear it, which is, hey, for something with a GTX 1050 Ti in it, it's not exactly what I would expect because that's not a very hot or demanding GPU. I think if they'd stuck with a dual fan solution, they might have had something that was a little bit quieter. It's not terrible, mind you, but you shouldn't be hearing it as much as you do. We have that better configuration with the GTX 1050 Ti, and it has a 256 gig SSD as well as a 1 terabyte hard drive. That is a SATA, not PCIe interface hard drive, so a SSD, excuse me. So it's not one of those super fast SSDs, but hey, at least it's an SSD, so speeds are decent. If you get that $1,100 base model that has a GTX 1050, you only get the spinning hard drive. There is no SSD whatsoever in that configuration. Of course, you could add one later. It's still the same motherboard. You still have the slot available if you wish to do that. And there is one M2 SSD slot and one 2.5-inch drive bay inside the machine. Core i7-7700HQ quad-core i7 7th generation Kaby Lake is standard with this. 16 gigs of RAM as well, DDR4, and you can upgrade that to 32 gigs if you wish. It has a spinning optical drive, just like the MSI Leopard Pro that we recently reviewed. And for those of you who are DVD fanatics or want to burn backup DVDs these days, I think most people are probably using external drives as storage or the cloud. Well, you can, and I know a lot of you would like to see a bigger battery in there instead, but why didn't they do that? Because they're trying to keep it as light as possible. There's competition for making gaming laptops that aren't big, heavy, honking messes. So that's why they did that, but the unfortunate drawback is even though we have NVIDIA Optimus here, which means you can switch to integrated graphics, your battery life is just not going to be very good with this. It has a small battery, just like the MSI Leopard Pro, again, that I keep mentioning, and yes, we're going to have a smackdown between those two very soon. Since this is not the Highline model, they cut a few corners, happily not with the display. Unlike the Dell Inspiron 7000 Gaming Edition, which starts with a really TN panel, this one has a pretty good IPS matte non-touch display on it. Good color gamut on this, very nice contrast. The apparent contrast and the zinginess are better than the metrics. I mean, a lot of displays will measure about the same as we saw here, but this one has that little extra pop. And I noticed the same thing on the 15-inch model previously, and with the GL502 also, which is good to see. Pretty bright, 338 nits. That's impressive. And the gamut and color coverage is fitting of a $1,000 laptop, be it a gaming laptop or an Ultrabook. You've got 92% of sRGB, you know, we look for just anything up to 99% in this range, and you get 71% of Adobe RGB, you're almost at the 75% average, close enough. But one of the ways they did skimp is with the Wi-Fi cards, and Intel 7265AC, that's Intel's last generation card. Granted, it was the higher end card. Most gaming laptop manufacturers in their lower end offerings are using the at least current generation Intel 3165 or 3168. This one, you know, the problem is that the Intel 7000 series Wi-Fi cards were not among their best in terms of reliable connection. So I just wish they hadn't done that. I have seen a drop connection occasionally, not constantly. It's not hideous, but oh well. In terms of performance, it's all good. And this one it benchmarks above its weight in this class of competing against GTX 1050 Ti laptops. And we've reviewed several of those. Now, it's not night and day 30% faster. That's just not going to be possible. But, you know, 3 to 5%, even 8% on some benchmarks is significant. And it's on the gaming graphics benchmarks, not so much on the CPU, because you're looking at the same CPU across the board here. And that SSD not being a PCIe one isn't going to make it get real fast PC Mark 8 scores, but the gaming benchmark results that you see here are quite good, and they eke out, like I said, most all the competition in this range. The charger that ships with this is the usual, not so huge gaming laptop brick, because the GTX 1050 and 1050 Ti don't need that much power, so it's more portable than, say, if you're looking at, again, big Alienware 17, which has a huge charger, and any of the other, even Asus's own, you know, big gaming laptops have large chargers because they have 1060, 1070, 1080 even inside. It's going to require more power, so that makes it portable. Battery life on this has been about 4 to 5 hours doing moderate productivity work, not gaming. You're going to get less time with gaming, which isn't real good, and again, that's because they have a very small battery inside. So opening up the ROG isn't too hard at all. Phillips head screws here. These are long screws, by the way. You're going to spend a lot of time unscrewing these little guys. But there's a trick. See this little piece of rubber over here? Nicely blending in with the design. You have to pull this up, which requires a fingernail or something pokey, sticky stuff here. And there's one more screw hiding there. I don't know why they did that, but After you unscrew it, it's pretty easy to take it off. Now, this is an unusual design. One large fan instead of the usual two, well, smaller fans, one for the CPU, one for the GPU. In this case, we have a heat pipe for each, basically going over here, and it's cooling the CPU and the GPU. It works pretty well. I mean, the GTX 1050 Ti is not exactly a super duper hot kind of GPU. Optical drive right there, teeny weeny battery, just like the MSI Leopard Pro we looked at recently. They're obviously trying to keep the weight down. I mean, yes, they could have used this for a bigger battery, but it would have weighed more, and everybody's about thin and light, or so these manufacturers think. Your spitting hard drive is right here. Your M2 SSD is here. Again, ours SATA interface, not PCIe NVMe. It just wants you to buy an even more expensive model to get that. Here's our outdated Intel 7265AC Wi-Fi card socketed. So if you wanted to change it to something else, you could. It's not really that hard. Little antenna connectors, the usual delicate connector. Be careful when you take those on and off if you do it. And under this little cover right here, we have 2 RAM slots and DDR4 RAM, of course, and we have a 16 gig module here. So that's nice. You don't have to throw away any RAM if you want to upgrade this up to 32 gigs. Just buy another 16 gig module and put it in the other available slot. And here are our speaker drivers. One here, no dual driver system going on here. No subwoofer here either, but in this price range, I don't expect to see that. So that's the Asus ROG Republic of Gamers GL753VE. You know, there's a lot of competition in this segment in gaming laptops, which is great to see. It's a challenge, though, for Asus, though. I have to say they're getting a little full of themselves. Their laptops keep getting more expensive, their gaming laptops, and usually the selling point, like, say, with the Leopard Pro and stuff, is you get better build quality than you would on one of those closer to $1,000 gaming laptops with the same GPU and stuff like that. And Asus here with a largely plastic build, you know, it's a little bit of a harder sell. It's not a bad machine, and certainly Asus knows a lot about gaming, so you're going to get some pretty good performance here, and that is nice. Again, it did about the best on benchmark so far of any laptop we've seen in this class. Not that there's a big range of performance difference, but still. So yeah, it's a mitza. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more cool tech videos, and thumbs up if you like this vid.